May 21st, 2019, and there is a very big energy shift that's happening that's asking us all to really take a close look at our realities. What do we want? What do we desire? What do we need? And over the past few years, we've worked with different parts of ourselves, and we've worked with relationships in all different ways over the past 7 years, and a lot over the past year. And this is where an energetic cycle of 7 years is now ending. So I would like for everybody to take just a moment and count on your fingers if you need to, and think about, where were you 7 years ago today? Just take a moment to think about that, and I'm going to see if I can bring the Instagram camera a little closer down. There we go. But think about, where were you 7 years ago? What were you doing? What was happening in your life 7 years ago? Were you happy? Were you sad? Were you transitioning between a couple of different realities? Because at that point, we entered like a semester, like, going to school. And it's kind of funny because graduation was pretty much a lot of this month, and kids are getting out of school. And this end of the 7-year cycle of these energetic shifts is completing a cycle of learning for us about ourselves. So there are quite a few people I've spoken to over the last few days that 7 years ago, they were making some major transformation. Like, some people were leaving their marriages. Some people were going back to school. Some people were leaving jobs that they didn't like, that they have had for 20 years. So a lot of discordant things is what we were processing. And at that 7-year mark, it was like time for us to leave, time for us to go, time for us to make a major transformation. So for those of you that did make the transformations and you did start working, over the last 7 years, you have worked on yourself, your relationship with yourself, your relationship with other people, your relationship with God, Spirit, or Source, money, family, you name it. You're in relationship to pretty much everything. So we finished that cycle. That cycle is now done. The new cycle has opened. It's been open since the full moon came. That was the gateway opener. Usually a full moon will send energy frequencies to fill up the spaces that we've worked on within ourselves. This one was more like a gun trigger and fired. And now we have a new reality to work in for about the next 7 years. And when I was asking God, Spirit, or Source, what does that look like? What can I share with the people tonight about this new existence, if you will? Which is funny because I have the same hair and the same body I did 7 years ago. Well, hair grows, I get that. But I don't feel different. But I'm sure if I went back and looked in my journals from 7 years ago, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's changed. So when I asked today, I asked God, I'm like, what do I talk about? And he said, basically, what are we willing to give up? And what are we not willing to give up? That's where we are now. It's only going to be about 3 or 4 months we're going to hang in that area. So there's going to be a lot of changing, a lot of growing for individuals, for people, for relationships, for groups. You might... I usually don't make predictions because energies are always changing, but probably around the July 4th weekend in America, you're going to see a huge shift in the stock market, and it may shift dynamically up, and it may have the bottom drop out of it. But look for a tragic event to happen during that time. Like I said, I don't like to forecast what's going to happen in the future because only God really knows, and things are constantly changing. But there is there is definitely something on the horizon because of the energy shifts, because of where things are now. And so enjoy yourself for that holiday weekend, make your plans, go on your vacations, do what you like, but just know that that time might be a big, huge hiccup. And of course, people could be coming back and watching this video later and going, see, you were wrong. But, but they're always changing. So if nothing happens, nothing happens. But it really feels like there's going to be a huge shift. And it won't be personal. It'll be more world scene. All right. So getting back to what are we willing to give up and what are we not? And so the energies that are happening and where God's Spirit or Source has us now is it's an uplift in our lives. So the last 7 years, we've basically been working on the trash, taking out the trash, realizing who we are, where we were, what we wanted to get rid of. A 7-year process seems very long, but it's a biblical number of completion. And also sometimes those of us that have hard heads, it takes 7 years to get things changed. A little bit at a time. We are creatures of habit. We've talked about neuroplasticity in these lives before. So giving up what you're willing to give up. And if you've been experiencing things like myself over the last couple of days, I have been being shown what it is to give up. Because sometimes we don't know. So the first step for change is awareness. And if you're not aware of what you need to give up, then how can you give it up? And that awareness has gone really, really super deep for me. And if you are experiencing something similar, even if it's just in the back of your head, even if you're not dealing with it openly, share this video with someone else that you feel may be having these same challenges. Because I'd like for them to know they're not alone, they're not weird, they're not unusual, that what we're going through is quite normal at this time. But I had an awareness given to me that I wasn't looking for that has been talking about my self-love. And for a lot of years, I have not loved myself. Now, if you ask me point blank on the street, do you love yourself? I'd be, oh, yeah. But I really haven't been loving myself. Yes, over the last 7 years, I've made some huge strides to get out of a bad situation, to build a business, to stand on my own 2 feet. And that's been great. And it's been a hard process. It's been a long road. But do you really love yourself? Big question mark. And if you do, how do you know? What is around you in your world that helps you to know that you love yourself? And I'm not talking about, family or loved ones, although they will surround you. But what are you doing to love you? It's a big question. For most of us, that goes back to our childhood and what we were taught about how to value ourselves and what to do not to value ourselves. And that came from our parenting or maybe a teacher, somebody that was close to us or around us. And we may not think of those things. But think about it now. As you go through this week, ask yourself, do I love me? And if the answer is yes, how do I show me that I love me? What do I do for me? You might look at food choices. Now, there are some of us who enjoy eating a lot, but probably don't need to eat as much because our age dynamic is a little different, or maybe we don't get as much exercise, You may love yourself by the company you keep or don't keep. Some of my friends prefer to be hermits and live by themselves and only go out occasionally. I just was talking earlier to someone when we were talking about that. Sometimes highly sensitive people or empathic people, we need that downtime. We need to decompress. And we're better off doing it when we're alone. So if you're that kind of person and you're going to a loud bar every night, then you're not loving yourself because you're not giving yourself that time to decompress. And for those of us that are parents, sometimes that decompression may come after we put the kids to bed. because that's the only time we have, But allowing ourselves to find our balance in our lives and shifting it the best you can. Life throws curveballs. Life gives us things that we weren't planning on. And so, I have room on my paint palette. You've seen those paint palettes where people put different colors and then they paint. And I have room for 12 different colors on my paint palette. I'm happy that way. And life will come along and give me 2 other colors, and I got to find a place to fit them on. I don't want to, It's just how things happen. So really, truly loving yourself is something to look at. And what are you willing to give up to love yourself? So for me, I might have to give up wanting to stay home in the morning and be under the covers and not get up, at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning and go work out. If I choose to stay in bed, I'm not really loving myself, even though I think I am because I'm, in the warm, cozy covers. But exercising and flushing my body out of toxins with water is loving myself. It's taking care of me. And when I don't do it, not really loving myself. So those things might seem small and they might seem little to you, but they're very important things to look at and to consider. Because loving ourselves goes that deep. It starts with how are you taking care of your human body? Where are you in relationship to your human body? Because you only have one human body. And once it's gone, it's gone. So what are you doing with it? All right, I'm going to skip on because my guides say that you've gotten that point, although I had written some other examples down. I'll move right along. We also are going to be learning here this next 4 or 5 months, they're telling me. We're going to be learning through a whole new way of healthy expression. So get ready to learn a whole new way of healing through your behavior. And that's a biggie. So in order for me to get certain things done in my day, when I would rather kind of like, as my daughter puts, I'd rather chill. I don't want to do my homework. I'd rather chill, right? If you don't do the homework, you fail. If you fail, you repeat the grade. It's a real simple equation, yet she'd rather not. So when I come in my office every day, there are certain things that I do and certain points of things I have to hit every day. If you have a linear 9-to-5 job, you may have tasks you have to do every day. And if you don't feel like doing them and you don't do them, and then things pile up. Or you might even get reprimanded, or you might even get fired. And so being more aligned with your behavior. And sometimes it takes pulling your bootstraps up and doing what needs doing, even when you don't want to. Even when you don't have the motivation. Even when you don't feel like it. It's pushing yourself through. And that can sometimes feel unloving because you're breaking through a new barrier. So very quickly, our ego keeps us in a spot that's safe. So when we're in this safe spot in our ego, even though it may be uncomfortable, that's where we're comfortable. That's where your ego says you are safe. Your ego usually is set by the age of 7 or 8. Later on, it gets messed with when you're in your teens. If you've had a traumatic event in your life, your ego will get reset. So people that have been to war, post-traumatic stress disorder, their brain gets reset. And so they have a different, their ego has a different idea of what safe looks like. And so anytime those folks tend to go forward and break through what they're feeling or doing, then there will be a huge pushback because they'll feel like, oh, I can do this, I can go forward. And then there's this pushback of I can't, or it's too hard, or, I'd rather chill, like my daughter says. So know that if you're taking some brave steps forward to change your behaviors in your life, it's going to not be easy. And I'd rather tell you things are easy and effortless. That's how I think. Things are easy and effortless. But let's face it, sometimes things are challenging. And it's going to be that way. So God's Spirit or Source right now is asking you what you're willing to give up and what you're not. And learning a whole new way of healing through your behavior. Bottom line. Hope that makes sense. I'm going to look at to see if there's any questions or anything that people have shared very quickly. So if you have a question up here on Instagram, go ahead and pop it up. I'd like to say hi to Candace. Thank you so much for joining us live. Let me look over here and see if Facebook, let me see it. Okay, hi, Shannon Miner. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Stacy. Jan, hi, good to see you. Tanya, good to see you. Tim, nice to see you. Christy, hey, how's it going? Let's see here. Stacy says she can't remember yesterday, but her birthday month is here, so she's doing something fun. Christy shared that she did have a big breakthrough last year. It looks like a couple of you did have some things that came through 7 years ago for you. Hi to Chelsea and hi to Chad. So that's where it's headed. It's changing and knowing what you're willing to give up, what you're not willing to give up, and then working with that. Because if you're simply not willing to give something up and to change through healthier behavior, that's where it's at. And put a pin in it. But I encourage you to pray. I encourage you to meditate. I encourage you to commune with the universe and ask to be shown what is not working for you if you don't already know. Ask to be given a way for healing, for doors to be opened to you, for people to come in your life that can help you heal. And one of my students tonight gave me some information which I will share with you. And she was talking about how does change happen? You know, how does God's Spirit or Source help us to change? And the first step is to clearly ask for what you desire. What do you desire? What are you clearly asking for at this point in your life? What do you desire? And you have to be clear about it. So for myself, you know, I desire that my child would find her passion within her education and excel to heights that she couldn't even imagine. You know, that's my desire. And I've asked it clearly. And so the second step is believing. So believing, meaning that I'm being in receivership of that will happen and living my life every day as if it will. Believing. Of course, it does require her participation too. And the last part of change is being in receivership. So I've asked for some things to change in my life, and they're changing, and I can see them changing, and now it's being in receivership, so receiving the change. Because if you ask all day long for something to change and it starts to change and you dig your heels in, you're not accepting the change. It's like slapping God in the face, literally. You're like, here's what I want, here's what I desire, may I have it please? And God's Spirit or Source goes, here you go, you can have it. And instead of receiving it and being grateful, you're like, oops, dropped it. Okay? Some of you out there nodding your heads, I can see you. But that's it. Please understand your value. Please know your value. Know that you are loved by God's Spirit or Source unconditionally, even if nobody else seems to love you or exchange energy with you in a loving fashion. You are always loved. Now, Thursday, I got that wrong last week too, Thursday and Friday, at For Heaven's Sakes Books in Denver, 303-964-9339. I will be giving clearing sessions, helping people to understand what's happening for them. If you're really confused a lot lately, if you've been lucid dreaming, not sure what that's all about, if you've been having trouble sleeping and then you're exhausted the next day, there's so many things that I could list that are happening with this energy change right now. I will be at For Heaven's Sakes Books this Thursday and this Friday to give you an extra opportunity to come in and see me or to call. And you can also call the bookstore to get a time. I was working earlier today, and Thursday I do still have availability after 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then on Friday I have some in the middle of the day, and then one at the very last appointment of the day. And that's all I have left, because this energy shift is coming fast, coming quickly. It is huge. I'm more than happy to help you shift the energy. If you don't know what that looks like, it's basically whatever burden you're carrying. There's a vibration that shifts and changes and helps to remove that from you so that you can move forward and have a happier life or a better experience, or you can be more willing to give things up or know what it is that you don't want to give up. And that's pretty much it. Oh, yes. We did have a winner. I am doing a giveaway contest at toolsofenergyprotection.com, my website. So if you will go over there and click on blog and go down to the bottom of the blog, there is a hack sheet for highly sensitive people and empathic people. It will give you ways to dig into this change and recognize why you may be feeling so tired with the other people around you. And I was looking for her name, actually emailed her, but all you have to do is get that hack sheet. A couple days later, go down to the bottom of the blog and put in a comment about how you felt. How did it help you? What would you like to have seen that you perhaps didn't receive? Because I'm developing some things for highly sensitive people, and it's so important to me that everybody get out there, that you receive what you need, and you don't even have to sign up. There's no email follow-up, so just go get it. And let me know what you think. And I'm sorry, I thought I had written, oh, there she is, Anita. Anita is our winner, and I emailed her earlier today, and she wins the $20 free gift card to For Heaven's Sakes Books. And the last giveaway I have between now and the end of the month is going to be a free one-to-one clearing session with me. So if you've been needing that and it's not quite in your budget, here's the rules. Go to toolsofenergyprotection.com, click on the blog. It'll say giveaway at the top, and down in there will be a hack sheet for highly sensitive or empathic people. Click on it, download it, read it, use it for a couple days, come back, have a great and wonderful night. I wish you well. And